Namaste and welcome back to today's episode of Mahabharata Matters. In the previous episode, we saw that it was decided that Drupada would send his Kulaguru as a messenger to Hastinapura. He was to convey the message of Yudhishthira, asking them to return their kingdom back after the exile was completed. Drupada's Kulaguru was a very learned man. He knew how to compose himself and be poised in front of kings and great personalities. In Hastinapura, it was not only the king, he would see Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, etc. in the council hall. He should not be perturbed or flustered in their presence. He knew about the history of the Kauravas and the Pandavas. He knew how the Kauravas had been unjust towards the Pandavas. Yet, he was supposed to convince them to do the right thing right now. Drupada asked him to address the king Dhritarashtra directly. Not only because he was the king, but also he was the person who was on the fence at times. Sometimes in his mind, he would think that he should do the right thing, but then Duryodhana would always succeed in convincing him otherwise. But Drupada had another motive too. The words of his priest would influence the minds of Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya. They would rethink their alliance towards Duryodhana. They would offer resistance. It would take time for Duryodhana to convince them back, otherwise he would succeed in it anyway. But then, time was crucial for Pandavas. Any extra time they could get was important for the Pandavas to put the armies of their friends together. The Kauravas are not doing us any favors, so we do not have to beg and plead them, he said. The Kulaguru left towards Hastinapura with the message. In the meantime, Arjuna had set out towards Dwaraka to formally request Krishna to help the Pandavas. Duryodhana heard about this from his spies. Upon Shakuni's advice, Duryodhana instantly left towards Dwaraka. Duryodhana had arrived a few moments earlier. Arjuna came later. In his mind, Duryodhana was very thrilled. He thought since he had come first, Krishna would help him alone, and the Pandavas would never dare to fight against their beloved Krishna. He thought he had already won the war without even fighting it. When they both arrived, Krishna was sleeping. Both of them went into the inner chambers of Krishna quietly. Duryodhana placed himself on a fancy seat that was by the head of Krishna. Arjuna humbly stood by the feet of Krishna with folded hands. After a while, Krishna opened his eyes. And obviously his eyes first fell on Arjuna and he greeted him. Duryodhana was disgruntled. He cleared his throat and he drew his attention of Krishna towards himself. He said, "Krishna, I am here too. I also have come to seek your help, and since we are both related to you similarly, you should do dharma and help me as I came here first." Krishna smiled. He said, "I believe you, Duryodhana, you came first. But then my eyes fell on Arjuna first. Also, I can't refuse either of you since both of you are related to me similarly." "I have a solution," he said. "I have one Akshauhini of my Narayani Sena. I will give that to one of you. On the other side, I will come myself. But I will never pick up a weapon. That's my condition," he said. He continued to say, "I saw Arjuna first, and also he is the younger of the two of you. So he gets to make his choice first," he said. Arjuna was elated. He prostrated to Krishna and said, "Krishna, I choose you. It does not matter if you wield a weapon or not, but all I want is you. With you on our side, we do not need your Sena also," he said. Duryodhana pretended to be unhappy. In his heart, he was thinking, this Arjuna turned out to be a fool. He got to pick first, and instead of an entire powerful, strong Narayani Sena, which accounted to one full Akshauhini, he has picked a mere Krishna who will not even pick a weapon. Alas, he has already made the blunder, and this works to my advantage. I am happy I got what I wanted," he was thinking. But out loud, he said, "Since I have no choice, I will just accept the Narayani Sena, Krishna," he said. Trying to suppress his smile, a gleeful Duryodhana went to meet Balarama. He had got exactly what he wanted. After all, of what use was a mere Krishna without weapons for him? So, what do we take away from this story? Paropadeshe Pandityam. When we advise others, we are all Panditas. Duryodhana, who was an epitome of adharma, was speaking of dharma to Krishna. He said, Krishna, I came first here, so you need to do dharma and help me first. But when it came to him doing dharma, the definition of dharma itself would become different. Likewise, when we are colored with our biases in our mind, we make our choices differently. We define dharma differently. We do not be objective. That's something to be mindful of. On the contrary, we learn humility from Arjuna in this story. He stood by the feet of Krishna rather than arrogantly by his head. This literally changed the fate of the both of them. While speaking to someone sleeping, especially elders, it is better to speak to them from the side of their feet rather than over their head. That's something to keep in mind. With these thoughts, we come to the end of today's episode. Remember, in this series, we are discussing matters of Mahabharata because even today, Mahabharata matters. Hari Om!